Tuesday, June 17th. Good God, I'm excited today. After a weekend full of incredible drama, WTF moments. I'm going to watch my mouth in the month of June. Bullshit. We're locked, loaded, and ready to go for you here. If you would have told me on Sunday morning that Orlando trading a bunch of scraps and 4 unprotected, which is not recommended, never be unprotected, first for Desmond Bain was going to be the 3rd craziest thing we would see on Sunday alone, I would have told you to put down the pipe. Today we get to figure out if the Cup's got a reservation at the Elbow Room tomorrow or if it's jumping on a plane to fly all the way back across the country again. The Pacers are on the brink. There might be thunder in their forecast. Boys, a lot of shit happened since the last time we were here. How the hell are you guys?
Recovering.
Recovering. I think that's the best way to put it right there. The Stanley Cup might be recovering in the Atlantic tomorrow too.
Yeah, I just hope that everything that I say and do today is in alignment with the show.
Ooh. Oh boy.
Hold on. You're not supposed to look at the camera when you're saying stuff like that. Right, I like how I jumped into that yesterday. If you're not sure what we're referring to, Craig Breslow and Sam Kennedy of the Red Sox, who made a couple of waves this week.
Oh, wait, hold on a second. I forgot something.
Well, while you go find whatever you forgot. There we go. Welcome to the dark side, baby. You know, the Red Sox held a Zoom call yesterday. I mean, because nothing says let's ship away our franchise player than a Zoom call where Craig Breslow looks like he's in the bowels of a minor league stadium with a backdrop that can't even fill the whole background. And Sam Kennedy spent the whole time doing this. And I jumped into the feed yesterday off of our Twitter account because it was right before the NBA Finals game started last night. And I threw a comment out there and said, does anybody else notice that Kennedy can't even look at the camera? And everybody told me what they thought of Sam Kennedy, which was about what I expected it to be. And then I got corrected by somebody that went, you know, to be fair, I mean, it is a Zoom call. So, you know, he's looking down at the reporters that are in on his lap. I don't give a shit. You just traded the best player, your franchise player. I expect you to at least look at me. We'll get to that. How was your Father's Day from my right, the way I'm looking to your left? TJ, how was Papa's Day?
It was good. I had a couple of beverages and hung out down in San Diego. So, you know, when that happens, you can't be
San Diego, and you did not tell me. Please tell me you drank a red trolley while you were down there.
I had a beautiful view of Petco Park for no game. So, you know, it is what it is, though. It was a good time. Yes, trolleys were drank.
Mac, how was Father's Day?
We had a good weekend. It was a weekend of fun. We went to the races on Friday night, saw some absolutely fun races, and then a couple of other little festivals around town we hit. So it was a fun weekend. We got outside a lot, and it was just a lot of fun to hang with the family.
Good stuff. Hey, don't forget, you can comment along if you've got thoughts on the Red Sox, you've got thoughts on the U.S. Open, the NBA Finals, the Stanley Cup Finals, Major League Baseball, all kinds of stuff. It's Tuesday, so we're going to play Do or Die later. Another Dollar Dingers pick for you as well. A lot of stuff going on in the sports world, guys. And NBA Finals, game number 5 goes to the Thunder. They are on the cusp of immortality. And help me out, TJ. You're the superlative guy. And the greatest team of all time and this, that, and the other thing. Point being, it's 3-2.
The greatest team of all time to finish second, right?
Yes, exactly. Now, I think we got to keep a couple things in context here. Number one, That was game number 103 last night for the Thunder. I was too lazy to do the math on the Pacers. I'm going to assume that they're somewhere right around the same mark. I've got one problem before we go into the details of the game, and we all coached at various levels, high school, college. Again, I know, calm down in the comment section. It's not the NBA, but what the hell is going on with all these big guys that get the ball when they're 6 inches taller than everybody else and bring it down to Mighty Mouse land where they get stripped 24/7. I mean, it's like a growing epidemic in the NBA. Last night happened a million friggin' times. If you get the ball up here and you're 6'10", why the hell are you bringing it down here? I've seen it the whole postseason. These are two fantastic teams. I'm enjoying this. People that haven't watched the second of the NBA Finals, you're not really a sports fan, but when the hell did we start bringing the ball down to Mighty Mouse land? Like we say mouse in the house for a reason. You don't bring the cheese down to the mouse. That's not how it's supposed to work.
Well, that's because all these big men nowadays think they're guards. I mean, look at them. I mean, how many? When we played and whatnot, I mean, you would never even think of, maybe except for a screen here and there, bringing any one of your big men up to the top of the 3-point line. And in fact, I'm so old. When I played high school, we didn't even have a 3-point line, so you didn't have to worry about it. So, I mean, it's one of those things. I mean, it's changed a lot. I mean, it really has. I mean, you don't really see that true, age. The Patrick Ewing, the Hakeem Olajuwon back to the basket, post up, big guy. It's doesn't happen. Yeah, Mutombo.
Yeah, it's freaking maddening, Teach. Like, I mean, it's especially when you're playing a team, and I'm not saying the Pacers were the only ones doing it last night by any means, but when you're playing a team like Oklahoma City that's scrappy and they swarm the ball, like the last thing you want to do when you're having a trouble, taking shots by the basket and shit, is bring the ball down where it can be stripped. In watching it last night, that was the thing that made me the second most frustrated. I'll get to the first one here, but I don't know, Teach. It's interesting. It's maddening, but it's interesting.
It makes absolutely no sense. It just makes it's a turnover waiting to happen. Why would you do that to your team?
I'm glad you brought up turnovers, actually, because Indiana
were there a couple turnovers?
Yeah,
a couple turnovers in that game.
Yep, a couple shy of 24 turnovers for the Pacers, and despite that, again, Indy, this was a 2-point game at the 8:30 mark in the fourth quarter, and you're sitting there watching it, and you're going, they're going to do this again. And that was for the bulk of the game with an ineffective Tyrese Halliburton, which is obviously a big story going in to game number 6 at the field house. I think the extra rest here, we always talk about how they stretch out the schedule and everything like that. The extra rest, not playing again till Thursday, is probably the biggest blessing in the world for the Pacers right now. But guys, again, this was a 2-point game at 8:30. And then Jalen Williams happened in a monster way. And I think it's about time to maybe consider the fact that Jalen Williams might be the finals MVP. The dude is playing his ass off. And literally he's fallen from way up here onto his ass about 5 times in this series. God, it's great to be young again. Mac, Jalen Williams is at a whole different level right now, and I think he has been the biggest difference maker in this entire series.
Yeah, I saw something this morning. I read it was kind of cool. They said, he's starting to play Robin to SGA's Batman, and I like that analogy of it. That's a scary idea of that Oklahoma City team, somebody like that, now that there's a consistent second scorer on that team, because there really wasn't. I mean, we keep talking about there's SGA and then there's, depth behind them. There isn't really that second go-to guy. But I mean, all of a sudden, if somebody, whether it's Jalen Williams, whoever it is, but in this case, that's who it is, Williams, steps up. I mean, this is a team not only for this year, but for next year going on. I mean, this is going to be a team that's going to be very, very difficult to reckon with going forward.
Yeah, Teach, 14 of 25 from the floor, 3 of 5 from 3, 9 of 12 from the free throw line, ends up with 6 rebounds and 4 assists. He was a plus 14 last night. You get the contributions from Holmgren. You get the big contribution from Williams. SGA goes for 31, 10, and 2 last night. Lou Dort, I've got some thoughts on Lou Dort that I'll share here in a minute. He is the prototypical violator of the I'm going to toss my leg out when I shoot a 3 to try and engage contact. But Aaron Wiggins and Cason Wallace last night for the Thunder, 14 and 11 respectively off the bench. And, I think that was probably the big thing is when you look at the box score, obviously the box score doesn't always tell you the game, but I think in this game specifically it does. Toppin, McConnell, Mathurin, 3 guys I've talked about a lot, TJ, in this series. 37 out of those guys from the Pacers bench. And the Thunder bench isn't as good as the Pacers bench. They just needed to contribute. Caruso only had 2 points last night, but the dude is up your ass 24/7 on defense. And then the 25 that they got out of Wiggins and Wallace, I mean, that was enough for a separator there. We're talking about an 11-point game. And again, like I said, it was a 2-point game with 8:30 left. Bench contributions, bench contributions, bench contributions.
Well, that's exactly what you want, though, right? You don't want to have all the pressure on your 1 or 2 or 3 biggest guys. You need, and we've talked about this with every team that tries to win a championship in a major sport, you have to have the depth. You have to have the secondary scoring to be successful. And they don't have to go off for 30 and 10 coming off the bench, but they have to provide something. They have to give you some valuable minutes. And if they can do that, which is what's happening with the Thunder right now, then you can go on a run and you can win a title.
Yeah, 32 points too, that OKC was able to convert off of the turnovers from the Pacers. And the delineating line for the Pacers in this entire postseason has been the exact same number. When they go up 111 or above, they're undefeated. When they go under 111, they are winless. I mean, that is literally the mark for the Pacers. Obviously, the big question going forward, and I think this is a very tricky situation for the Pacers. Tyrese Halliburton's got some tightness in the calf. And guys, we know, especially over the last couple of years, it seems to be more and more common that tightness in the calf, tightness in the hamstring, but specifically in the calf, leads to a calf strain, which is a tear, and then you're talking about an Achilles, and you're missing a guy for well over an entire season, basically. Medicine's better. Now these guys recover from this, but I think the Pacers are in a very interesting situation here with how they handle Tyrese Halliburton. And I thought, Mac, last night, more than anything, that frustrated me from the Pacers. And I go back to obviously being a Warrior fan and seeing the Warriors on their run. And one of the things that's really used to be very aggravating about the Warriors, and you get a team that's very ball movement friendly, and that's, you want them to do it because that's how they play. When the Pacers are passing the ball and it's crisp and it's bouncing around like it's on a yo-yo, that's when they're at their best. And I thought there was a lot of times last night that Indy had a lot of good looks inside and they passed it back out because that's what they're used to doing. And I think that's where this series gets tricky for them, and it has been. Against OKC, when you get a look close to the basket, you've got to go up with it, and you can't pass it out. And I thought the passiveness of the Pacers last night kind of hurt them, especially in the third quarter.
The one thing that I've seen, Mike, through this whole thing is that I think the one thing that I've been impressed, if I had to put it on the top of my list, is that OKC hasn't been rattled. They haven't been here, obviously, we know that. But even when Indiana's made their run, the exception would be game 1. Whenever Indiana's made these runs at them, and even last night, like you said, they got within 2. They don't seem to be rattled. They stay to their game. They do what they need to do. They know where to put the ball. They know SGA's got to have his hands on the ball, and they seem like they get him the ball. And the one thing I said, I'm a big opponent of this, is that it's their defense. When they needed stops, they got 4 stops in a row, and defense is one of those things that it's kind of like they say, like in baseball, speed doesn't go in a slump. I feel the same way. I'm like, when you play defense, even if you're not shooting well, that saves you. And for me, the biggest thing that I've taken from this series is the composure of a young Oklahoma City team. when they need it, they count on that defense, and that's, to me, has been the difference.
Yeah, absolutely. And we talk about it all the time, especially on this show, is the step up year. Oklahoma City had their step up year last year. They're ready. And the scary thing is that, when we look at this Oklahoma City team, they're not going away. I mean, the draft capital that Sam Presti has acquired, just in this, they're going to, it would look right now that you would say they're going to win the title, and, they're going to then have a couple of picks in this next draft, and then a couple of picks and a couple of picks. Like, they're not going away. And I don't think this Pacers team is going to go away either. I mean, they're going to have a decision to make with Miles Turner. And with what that guy's been through in this organization, and as long as he's been there, you really got to, I think you go over the luxury tax, and the report is that they're going to keep Miles Turner. I wouldn't mess with a thing with this Pacers team. One thing that really is pissing me off is the way the whistle's been the last couple of games. And I really, really thought in game 4, it was absolutely egregious on both sides. I talked about it a little bit on Friday night after the game, just because I had to get it off my chest. Last night, I thought the whistle was interesting. And you can look at the fouls and you can say, well, they were about even. And that doesn't necessarily tell you the entire story. Again, if you have thoughts on last night's game, feel free to comment along. The people that push the right buttons will get them up on the screen for you. There was one specifically, and it seems like it keeps happening to one player for the Pacers, and that's Aaron Nesmith. And I thought I wrote it in my notes while I was watching the game last night, and I didn't. But I believe it was either his second or third foul, and it was like towards the early part of the third quarter. He's trying to fight over a screen, and Nesmith, the way he battles over screens is like the way you would teach it to basketball players at a young level. Mm-hmm. He's fighting over the screen. He gets pushed by Jalen Williams into the screen, gets flattened by the damn screen, and it's a foul on Nesmith. And you don't look at it in that point and go, yeah, no big deal, because here's a guy, again, that they need on the floor because of what he can do defensively. We know he's once he gets going, he can light it up with the best of them, and he's done it all postseason long. But now you're taking a guy and you're having to sit him because you have to play the foul game. And then on the other side, it's not the same whistle. And I'm not saying that's why the Pacers lost. Again, I thought they were passive and they turned the ball over too many damn times. But Tej, like, the whistle doesn't seem in the last couple of games like it's been the same whistle on both ends of the floor.
Well, you got your guy to thank for that in game 4, right? Your favorite whistleblower guy thingy.
Number when an official's like jersey number, that's not a good thing.
No, the officials, you should never know, as a fan or as a player, you should never know who's officiating the game. It should never happen, because it should be the same all the time. And if you know the official who's calling the game, that's kind of a problem. And that's what I'm seeing right now. Is, you're right. It's just, it seems like it's been kind of one-sided. Now, from the other side, though, from the Pacers side, you can't just fall on that sword every time and go, oh, because Scott Foster called 40 fouls against us, that's why we lost. No, over the course of a game, you have to adjust, and you have to change your playing style, and you have to make the official a non-factor.
Yeah, we're not going to make any picks on the game because the next game is Thursday and we have a show. I will say this one last thing, and I'm going to give you the last word on the series as far as this conversation goes, Mac. But the Pacers, they've been in this spot before. Last year, they had to win a game 6 at home and go on the road and win a game 7, which they did in Madison Square Garden. So we'll get more into game 6 specifically on Thursday when we're back here. We'll also hear tomorrow, but on Thursday's show specifically. Final word on last night, Mac.
Like I said, for me, I just like the consistency of OKC. And when you talk about the fouls, we all know this. If you look, I think there was a discrepancy of like one foul between, but it's not the number of fouls. It's when those fouls are called. And like you said, we all know, we've all been there. It's that crucial moment when something happens, when a foul is called or not called. So yeah, I mean, I understand what you're saying, but I think OKC's gonna. We'll talk about it on Thursday, but it's going to be a tough road, especially if Halliburton can't play. It's going to be a tough go for the Pacers.
How am I supposed to follow that? Again, feel free to comment if you're following along. We appreciate you. Follow us on all of our social channels at Mike Arana Show, everywhere but Snapchat. Hey, TJ, do you want to tell everybody why we're not on Snapchat?
Because A, Snapchat sucks, and 2, we're not 12.
There you go. The Stanley Cup is in the house. It's in a familiar house to it. Not that one, you tool bag.
Oh,
it might have a reservation at the Elbow Room tomorrow, as I said off the top, or it might be headed back to Edmonton for a decisive Game 7. And guys, you know, in that Game 5, man, I'm trying to put this into the proper words, and we know now that the Oilers, and I think they made the right choice here, are going with Stu Skinner tonight between the pipes. And I'll give you one reason why, for those of you that are questioning it. 9-1 in games 5 to 7 is Stu Skinner. We know what the one loss was. It was Game 7 last year against these Florida Panthers, but maybe Edmonton can channel the ghost of Marty McSorley, for those of you that get that. The last Canadian team to win a cup was Montreal. The curved stick. That and the other thing. Crosby and Malkin were also down 3-2. And this Oilers team loves to make things dramatic, TJ. But where in the hell were they in Game 5 in front of a barn that was absolutely rocking? I don't know through the television if I've ever heard a louder environment. I also don't know if I've ever seen a team in that position in a tie series at home lay a giant freaking flaming turd on the ice like the Oilers did in Game 5.
Oh, they crap the bed in a glorious fashion. You have to wonder if this team missing Zach Hyman cannot be the only reason why I think Florida has just taken it to them. And if you watch the game, and you said it in the group chat, this team looks slow and they don't look like they can get anything going. Well, that's exactly Florida's MO. They make you look slow. The Oilers can't get the puck in the offensive zone, and when they get it in the offensive zone, it's very quick and it's out. And that's by design. So yeah, they look slow because they can't freaking get anywhere against the back check of the Panthers. So, but you're right. When you're a team that's the defending runner-up, and you're a team with the 2 best players in the league, and you're a team that has home ice advantage for potentially 2 of the last 3 games, how do you not even that? Like, it wasn't even when they made it 3-1. You're still, I was still looking at it going, this is over. There's no life in this team, and it's terrible to say that. I'm not going to say that that's all Pickett's fault. I wouldn't have gone to Pickett in Game 5, to be honest with you. I would have gone with Skinner, and that's not looking at 2020. I would have done that from the beginning. But it's your team. Your stars have to show up. The stars didn't show up.
And no, not at all, Mac. They were completely missing in action.
You know, I begin to wonder. I mean, you know, when you play, obviously we're talking about this series, but let's go back to last year too. You know, they couldn't get over the hump last year with this team. And at some point, I think I mean, Edmonton has played a couple of really good games, but let's be honest. But I think sometimes that frustration, you just kind of get there and you go, man, it just feels like it doesn't matter what we do. We score early, we score late. You know, we try to be more physical. We try to use our speed. We switch goaltenders. We you know, what else can we do? It just seems like that we just can't beat this team. And it just seems like everything that I see, it's like, you know, the Edmonton Oilers need to change their logo like to a question mark right now, because I feel like they're questioning everything. They're questioning their goalies. They're questioning what they're doing on the ice. You start to wonder, like, you know, can we beat this team? And again, you know, Florida, one thing they don't want, listen, I'm going to be honest. If Edmonton somehow wins this game, you don't want to. If you're Florida, you don't want to go back to Edmonton for Game 7. You can't imagine that Edmonton's going to throw up 2 bombs like that in a row at home. So you got to take care of business tonight, and Florida knows that, and so if I'm Edmonton, I mean, at this point, I don't know what to do. It seems like, again, they've thrown everything out there. Nothing seems to work. We can't skate with them. We can't outscore them. We're not out physical. But here's the bottom line. And TJ, you know this. Why do teams win Stanley Cup championships? It's one thing and one thing only. It's goaltending. And when you have questions in goaltending, it's hard to do. And Bob has been Bob. He's been playoff Bob. Again, let's just be honest. That's how teams win championships.
For those of you that don't know on the show, Mac is the uniform fashion police. So if you're ever on our X channel at Mike Arana Show and you're seeing a comment about uniforms and outfits, if you will, it's always coming from Vegas Mac. But, TJ, you said something, and I'm glad you brought it up, because I think a lot of people look at that game the other night and they tend to put it on the goaltender. There was a lot of breakaways. There was a lot of shots from the slot. I mean, the one goal, I think it was Bennett's goal, I believe. I don't have it in my notes again for some reason, but the shot was blocked. And then right there, boom, high side, opposite. That's not on Pickard. And that's just the way the puck bounces, literally, at times. But when you're constantly under pressure, I mean, there was a great mic'd up moment with a couple of the Oilers. I think it was Ekholm, and I can't remember who the other guy was, but they were talking about Brad Marchand, and they were like, how does he have the zip? And it's like they shot him off of a rocket, and he's coming down here. And it's like they were dumbfounded by it. The most interesting thing for you advanced analytic nerds out there that I saw in this 5-on-5 expected goals in this series, the top 10 players for Florida, all over 70%. The top 10 players for Edmonton, all at 40% or under. And Jackie Redmond, who, by the way, is absolutely fantastic. The TNT coverage is incredible. When you can bring me, not to throw somebody else under the bus for the way they cover final series, but when you can bring me a panel that's got Lundqvist and, hey, it's Ace, for those of you that don't know, Wayne Gretzky. I mean, that's what I'm getting at halftime and intermission. And then Biz is Biz. He's fantastic. But Jackie Redmond, she retweeted this from Sportsnet Stats yesterday. Time leading in this series. Florida, 200 minutes and 25 seconds. Edmonton, 33 minutes and 51 seconds. So when we look at this and we go in the grand picture of everything, why is Florida up 3-2 in this series? It's because Florida is absolutely beating Edmonton's ass 5-on-5, and that time leading is the exact reason why. So what do the Oilers do? And again, TJ said it earlier, it is exactly who they are. The Oilers are 5-1 since in elimination games going back to 2024. They had to come back twice from down in the third period against the Kings just when this playoff started. Some teams just love to play with their backs against the wall. And I'm not convinced that Edmonton's toast tonight. I'm really not.
You know what? If I'm Florida, I'm kind of going back to that, to earlier in the series when they let the first one get away from one of the first two get away from them. I think it was game 1. But yeah, I mean, the records speak for itself, and what the Oilers have done since the beginning of last year's playoffs in games 4 through 7 is almost incredible. Like 3 losses, that's it. And one of them was game 7 last year, and one of them was the other night. So there's 2 of them, right? So no, I don't think they're done. But and I think I mentioned this in the group chat, you can tell when the Oilers are very concerned because they're going to start this game with McDavid and Draisaitl on separate lines. And once they start shifting them together, and then once they start sitting them out there for the extended, I mean, you already see them out there for the entire power play. It's 2 minutes, and you're getting McDavid, Perry, Draisaitl, Bouchard, and RNH or whomever. When they start double shifting 97 and 29, that's when the level of concern has amped up on the Oilers bench. And the longer that they can keep Draisaitl and McDavid on separate lines, the better off the Oilers are.
Yeah, exactly. You know, before we make some picks here, Mac, I know that you've sat and Mac will have our game preview here about an hour after we got off the air tonight. He's got game 6 as far as the preview goes. We are going to make our picks here in just a second. But Mac, you know, I think you were the one that pointed it out first. I'm going to be safe to assume here, you think this is over tonight, don't you?
I do. I mean, Florida, like I said, they don't want to go back to Edmonton for game 7. I think, again, having that home ice, being able to set up your lines, having that last change, I said when we went to game 3, I think it's a huge advantage. I mean, people don't understand how big of an advantage that is. I think that's a difference in the game tonight.
All right, I'm going to make my pick, and then TJ, you can have at it. General McDavid, as far as sources tell us, will be nowhere to be found tonight. But I'm going to take Edmonton. Again, the Crosby Malkin down 3-2 in 2009. You know, I just can't see Edmonton, and I know what they're up against here. I mean, Florida is ridiculous. Paul Maurice was asked this morning. And Kenny Albert shared this on his X account. You know, what does it feel like waking up with a chance to win the Stanley Cup? And he goes, I did it 4 times last year. You know, Florida's cool. They're calm. They're collected. They follow the lead of Maurice. And I can't see Edmonton going out with what they dropped in game 5. I just can't see it happening. I hope for us as hockey fans, we get
what
a
they
game
dropped
7.
in game 5 right here.
It's a Friday night, which would be, you imagine Friday night in Edmonton with a chance to win the cup would be ridiculous. So I'm going to take the Oilers tonight. And because it hasn't failed me yet, I'm going to take the over tonight as well.
I think the over is a solid play as well. I'm going to take, man, this is a tough one. RNH is probably going to play. Klingberg is in, Stetcher is out. I don't know if that's going to help the defense that much. And then Arvidsson's out and Kapanen's back in. So Kapanen's had a really good playoff in these last 2 rounds. Really solid on that third line. And I told you guys at the beginning that the third line was going to be a huge difference in this series. And the third line for Florida has just been straight up domination.
Third line.
Yeah. I'm with Mac. I think it's done tonight.
You guys are fun suckers.
Listen, enjoy your Tim Hortons because you're not gonna be able to get it anymore. That's it. Tim Hortons. No Tim Hortons. Hey, my biggest question is this. My biggest question. You want to talk about question marks, Edmonton, all these question marks? I got a question for you. Who's the second person that raises the cup tonight? That's the question that Florida's going to have to answer. Who's the second person? That's always an important thing. We know the captain gets the cup first. The question tonight, who gets to hold the cup the second? Panthers win. I'm going with the under, though. They're going to just Panther this game, and it's going to be a defensive game. Panther this game. Panthers raise that cup again. We'll see who's the second person.
The second person is the guy that puts it back in the box to get it on the plane to send it to Edmonton. All right. Before we play a little do or die here, JJ Spawn, the winner of the U.S. Open, the putt he hit on 18, man, I could watch that all day long. The probability of a PGA Tour player to hit a putt of just under 65 feet is less than 2%. So I will ask you both, this is not part of your do or die for tonight's games involving your teams and some other interesting things. How many putts would it take you, TJ, to make that exact same one that JJ Spawn had from just under 65 feet?
Like, how many chances do I get, or do I have, how many putts combined is it going to take me to hit the ball 65 feet?
Oh, the chances, there would be no number on the chances because I don't think if we were all given 100 putts each, we could hit that putt.
Dude,
How many
that putt was
times would it
unreal.
take you to get the ball in the hole from 65 feet?
You've seen my golf game. That's a 4-putter for me.
Golf
That
game?
yeah, we use the word game really loosely on that. No, that was, holy smokes, that was freaking balls right there. I was just, and I'm not the biggest golf guy, but when you set up for that and when I'm watching, I'm like, holy crap, that's going right in, and it sure as hell did.
Mac,
So,
we
yeah,
know
it
you
would take
play
me at
with
least 4.
Mac plays with defective equipment. All his clubs are backwards. How many times would it take you? Could you make that putt from 65 feet?
I mean, you could, but it would take you a while. I mean, that's for sure. I mean, I would confidently say if I had to go there right now, I could do it in 3 putts.
Is that before it gets to the windmill or after?
Yeah, no, true. No, I would say 3 putts. I could do it in 3. Confident.
All right. Last thing before we get into do or die here, I want to give a shout out to head coach Kevin Monero and the North Penn High School baseball team. If you haven't seen this from this weekend, this was some bullshit. Apparently, the ump show falls all the way down to high school baseball. It was the PIAA 6-8 state title game between Cedar Cliff and North Penn. Cedar Cliff takes the game 1-0 in 13 innings. North Penn senior reliever Caleb Price, in his 5th inning of work, he gets called for a balk for the slightest of slight twitches, if you will. And he hadn't even come set yet. Home plate umpire calls him for a balk. And that's how the 6A state title game in Pennsylvania is won. I mean, just some absolute bullshit. If you haven't seen the clip, look it up.
But it is, but it isn't. I mean, that's not how you want to win a game. But by the rule book, it's a balk. And balk is a stupid rule. I mean, let's just be honest. I mean, the whole idea is you're not supposed to deceive the runner. You know, that's just like, you know, the pitcher that's on the mound and drops the ball. Like, that's a balk. You know, like it's a stupid rule. It's one of, you know, we're worried about putting extra bases out there so nobody gets hurt. I mean, we're worried about ghost runners at second base. That's a rule that could be tweaked a little bit. I mean, I understand, like, you're talking mostly like with left-handed pitchers and they're moved to first base and do they go to first or not? Like, that's what it's meant for. It's not for if a guy drops a ball or if he, you know, his leg buckles a little bit. I mean, he wasn't trying to deceive anybody there, but by the rule book, it's a balk. But it's a stupid rule.
Again, fun sucker. TJ, Bush League or not?
Yep, Bush League.
There you go. See,
you can't,
the voices of reason have spoken.
But
no
I mean,
fun, Mac.
You know what? When your closer is Kenley Janbach all the time, I mean, it's like
he boxed like 5 times.
Good Lord, that guy. And
it's like he's churning butter.
But it's like
just called him Kenley Janbach.
But that's it's so ridiculous. Like, baseball is a game of failure. Of course you want to deceive the batter. It's about making the batter fail. That's what this game is about.
Yeah, just Bush. I mean, congrats to Cedar Cliff. Congrats to North Penn. Being in a state title game at any level at any sport is an accomplishment. You know, I feel for Caleb Price, and I think Kevin Monero said it best, their head coach, like, hey, I don't even really want to talk about it because it takes away from 2 great teams and being here. So that was from this weekend. Just if you haven't seen it, look it up. You know, you tell us, balk or no balk. I think it's Bush. But all right, time to play either or, guys. And I am going to start with Vegas Mac.
All right.
So we are closing in on the Open Championship, and it's at Royal Portrush in Ireland. There'll be lots of pints, and either sides will be glazing. I'm going to give you an either or here. You can only take one.
Okay.
Rory McIlroy to win it, or Shane Lowry to win it. Both Irishmen. This is in their backyard.
Yeah.
It's an
I'm gonna
either
go
or.
Shane
You have
Lowry.
to make a pick, Switzerland.
Shane.
I like that.
Yeah, I think Rory, I mean, I know he's had some struggles, but he still in his backyard. I think he struggles. Shane will be, who knows what he'll be doing after the rounds.
You know what he'll be doing after the rounds.
Yeah. He'll be loose. He'll be, put it this way, he'll be loose when he's playing.
Yeah. Swing juice. That's all it is. It's swing juice. I wonder if pints of Guinness are considered performance enhancing drugs. Definitely not in Ireland. TJ, you got an either or. We're going to go back because we always go back before we go forwards on this show. I'm going to give you 3 2-leggers. Your first one, Brad Marchand for a point. Marchand for a point and the over tonight. The Oilers on the money line and Lieutenant Perry to bang one in. The Panthers on the puck line and Sam Bennett to score a goal. So Marchie in the over, Oilers and Perry, Panthers on the puck line, and Bennett.
Oh, well, Sam Bennett's had an unreal playoff, and somebody is going to pay him a crap load of money and be pissed off when he scores 40 points in the regular season and they don't make the playoffs. But I would take the last one there. I would take the Panthers on the puck line and Bennett to score. I just have a feeling that he's going to wrap up the Conn Smythe. And the only way the way that the story ends for him is getting a goal in the clinching game, and then getting the Stanley Cup fourth.
Well, you don't have to buy into his bullshit. The answer to your question of who's going to pay him a shit ton of money next year, it rhymes with Florida and Panthers. Let's see here, Mac, either or. As we lean into baseball here, great setup. Boston and Seattle tonight, under 4.5 runs in the first 5 innings. Your pitching matchup, if I remember off the top of my head, is Giolito and Brian. Oh, no, it's Bueller and Wu tonight. So under 4.5 in the first 5 innings, or Brian Wu to strike out at least 7 of your Bo Sox tonight. Which one would you take?
I'll take the under 4.5.
With Bueller and Wu. That's an interesting choice. Yep. All right, final one here before we get into baseball, because there was a couple of things that happened this weekend. TJ, your swinging Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim are in New York again to play the Yankees that seemingly can't score a damn run right now. So I'm going to give you the option of the total over 9.5 or the Angels at plus 220 on the money line.
Ooh, that's going to be a tough one, because right now the Angels couldn't score with $200 on 4th Street right now. I would take the Angels on the money line there.
Interesting. I'll have some thoughts on that when we get to liquid locks that, by the way, went completely undefeated. Perfect. The first time we dropped liquid locks with the 3 of us, we gave you all liquid locks. Mac, you're raising your hand.
I got one for you. I got to get this in today. Jesus. Hold on. Okay. What's going to happen first?
You look like an idiot, by the way.
What's going to happen first? A Rafael Devers home run, or he plays the field?
You know what? I was thinking a lot about this, and I like how you said Devers just to screw with me. For those that are new to us, Rafi Devers' last name has come out of my mouth as Raphael hors d'oeuvres, divorce. It's been a disaster. I thought about this a lot, and the Giants are a high-class organization. I mean, when Gerald Buster Posey is running your organization, A, you get shit done. And B, I thought about this, and I'm like, how much of an FU to the Red Sox would it be if Devers is starting at 3rd base tonight in his first game with the Giants? And then I went, it'd be an even bigger FU to the Red Sox if he's starting at 1st base tonight for the Giants. I'm going to say that I think Devers homers before he plays in the field. I think they're gonna ease him into it. Speaking of Rafael Devers, you got Roz. It's probably not an ode to Carlos Rodon. I'm going to say he homers before that happens. So let's get into a little baseball here, guys, and a couple of interesting pitching performances that I'll circle back to. But my question is did the Boston Red Sox trade Rafi Devers to the Giants for Rhys Hoskins? And somewhere out there, somebody's going, well, you dipshit, Rhys Hoskins plays for the Brewers. But when you trade a franchise player who has a massive contract, and for historical significance here, no player ever on a 10-year contract has ever been traded this early into it. Devers is in the second year of that monster 10-year, $313 million deal. She's got about $250 left that the Giants completely took on. Guys with 10-year contracts that were traded early. Alex Rodriguez from Texas to New York in 2004. Giancarlo Stanton from Miami to New York in 2012. And I know you'll remember this one, Mac. Richie Zisk was traded from Texas to Seattle. All those guys, when they were traded in their 10-year contracts, was in their third years. So the question now remains, the Red Sox have a hole at first base. Rhys Hoskins' name has been floated out there plenty of times that he's a guy that's going to be on the move. Now that the Red Sox have this influx of money, because it had to have been a money move by the Sox, what did they do with that money going forward? And I think that's the interesting question. Did they trade Devers to the Giants for Kyle Tucker? Whatever the Red Sox do with this extra money is what it is. I think this is a great move for the Giants for a couple reasons. Obviously, you're getting a Hall of Fame bat. What kind of pressure this is going to take off of Willy Adames, the big new flashy superstar in San Francisco that was really, really struggling. Now the attention gets a little bit diverted there, but you know, when this dropped on Sunday, and we'll go across the board here, and obviously I'll start with you, Mac. What was your initial reaction? Because there were a lot of people that thought it was a joke when it came out. The Giants finally get their big bat. Go ahead, president of Beantown. What was your initial reaction? I know we talked very quickly after.
Yeah. I mean, obviously when my son came flying out of the shower and he's like, Dad, the Red Sox just traded Rafael Devers. I'm like, dude, come on, shut up. Like, there's no, you know, you just don't say that. I mean, it doesn't even sound like it's the truth, you know, like, you know, and he's like, no. And like, I mean, we both went to our phones and, you know, you're waiting for that kind of second confirmation of trying to find it. I mean, I think initially, like anything else, when you trade your best player, there's a little bit of anger with it. But now that, you know, a day and a half passed, then I kind of have a good idea of, as much as I can, of what surrounds the whole thing. I have a different opinion that I did 48 hours ago.
TJ, initial reaction when you heard the news on Sunday after you were in between red trolleys and what's our other go-to down there?
Oh, the swinging fryer.
There it is,
fryer. Yeah. I thought it was a misprint. I'm like, why? Why are you trading one of your best players for? I just couldn't figure it out.
Garbage. That's the word you're looking for. Garbage.
I couldn't help but think, do the Red Sox already think that they're done? And so now they're starting to blow people out. But then I started thinking, after I got over that part, I'm like, well, that can't be the case. They've got to have something else going on, because you wouldn't just unload that contract and not have a backup plan or not have something in mind. So especially with a team that's firmly entrenched in the wild card hunt here. So I don't know. What are the Red Sox doing? That's my big question. What are they doing?
Mac, I'm gonna say what I think this is, and let me get this out. And you might agree with this. I don't know. But Jeff Passan had some interesting thoughts on this. And what it comes down to is this started in the offseason when Bregman was still a free agent. Arenado was even before the Bregman talks got hot for the Red Sox. There was Nolan Arenado. They relayed to Raffy, hey, you're cool. No, it's your position, blah, blah, blah. Then they signed Bregman. He gets third. He's a Gold Glover. He should have. The injury to Casas at first. And this is where we're at. They lied to him. They lied to him from the jump. They operated and had zero intentions of leaving the situation where it was. And whether that was the best move or not, you can't be mad at a guy who now doesn't want to conform to your bullshit when you lied to him. And I think that's where this, to me, all comes from.
I actually think it starts the year before, where Rafael Devers called out the organization. They basically came out and said, we don't have enough talent here, is what he said. And that was kind of the beginning of it. So in the offseason, the Red Sox went and acquired talent, which, by the way, I don't want to give the whole organization bad marks. What they did in the offseason was really, really good. Mm-hmm. How they handled it probably wasn't good. But listen, you can't tell me that signing Bregman wasn't a good move. He's a better third baseman than Devers. He's not better offensively. He's a better third baseman. Are the Red Sox a better team with Alex Bregman? The answer is yes. So let's just leave it at that. Here's my deal. If the Boston Red Sox going forward, and this is kind of basically what it comes down to, are they a better team with or without Devers? The answer is they're better with him. We know that. Mm-hmm. However, if the situation, and obviously we're not there, but if from what we can kind of put together, the situation in the clubhouse wasn't good. And, that's the biggest problem. The Red Sox are going to spend money getting these young guys coming up. That's their future, and Devers was part of it. But if they're going to have something that's going to deter these three young players from becoming superstars, which we all think they're going to be, then they had to do something. And it was either Breslow was going to go or Devers was going to go. And it's just like when a team doesn't play well, you can't fire the entire team, you fire the manager. In this case here, they got rid of Devers. Bottom line. It was a money dump. They got rid of it. Like you said, this trade isn't complete until they use that money. That's how we'll know this trade. These four guys that they got from the Giants, that's just because they had to do something. So here we go.
Yeah, and there's an interesting point there too. Previous from You Got Roz and from Billy V. And granted, that looks like he slightly slighted to a different franchise, but you don't see teams like trade two Hall of Famers in a 5-year period. And we're going to get into the wild card talk here in a second, because we're talking about two teams that made a massive trade. And yes, it does seem like the Red Sox, TJ, they literally went, we want 4 players for Raffy. And the Giants go, okay, who? And they go, just 4 players, and from a Giants fan standpoint, TJ, Kyle Harrison, and I said this when we were talking about the Giants in spring training. For years and years and years, there's been this, Tyler Beatty and this guy and that guy, they're the second coming and blah, 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 blah. And they never pan out to jack shit. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying none of them. The Giants have had good homegrown prospects that have helped win World Series, but more of them than not. And baseball prospects all around. But from a Giants standpoint, Kyle Harrison was a guy they were high on. He's got, he's got some skill. He had some trouble with some velocity issues. There was Hayden Birdsong. There was Kyle Harrison. The Giants were going to make a choice between the two of them. And I think Kyle Harrison could really, really do well in Boston when he's given the chance. They optioned him right away to AAA. But I think that's the thing here, TJ, is and again, Max said it, I said it as well. It's like, this wasn't a move for what they got. This is a move for what they're going to spend with what they got.
Mm-hmm. It has to be. There has to be a different end game other than getting 4 randos for Devers. So yeah, I agree with Matt completely. Once we see the end the end game of this deal, then we'll know what it really is. But for right now, I'm just, I don't know what to think about the Red Sox. I just don't. Like, they won the offseason and then they do this.
But here's what I'm going to take. I'm going to say this is going to kind of rub some people the wrong way, but the Red Sox aren't going to make the playoffs because of Rafael Devers. He's not going to be the reason that they make the playoffs. That's not. He's had a good year. They're just now creeping into the wild card. It's not because of Rafael Devers. It's because of what's on that small circle on the mound. That's the difference in the last week. It's not Rafael Devers. He's not the reason that they've won the last 6 games. He's not. Okay? The reason that they've won the last 6 games is because Giolito and Walker Buehler got their heads out of their ass and they've actually pitched like major league players. Bayo stepped up and he pitched. That's the reason that they have a winning streak, is because their starters have done the job, not because of Rafael Devers. Can you replace Rafael Devers' offense? Yeah, you actually can, because you're going to have Bregman back, Roman Anthony's there, Myers there. You have the young guys. If they take this money and go make a trade, what if they went and made the trade for Alcantara in Miami and got another young pitcher like that and signed him to an extension, or a Dylan Cease? Now all of a sudden, does the trade look so bad? No, not really. It actually doesn't look so bad. The caveat to that, and Mike, we talked about this, is they got to sign Bregman, I think, to a longer term contract. But listen, the Red Sox aren't done.
You imagine what happens in Boston if Bregman were to opt out? Holy shit.
Oh, but, well, I mean, and then it's not the biggest. I mean, Myers can play third, but listen, the Red Sox aren't done. Massa's going to go. Story's probably going to go. You know, they have other pieces that they're going to get rid of. The Red Sox aren't done. I know last week you asked me about the trade deadline. I said, well, I'm not so sure. Well, I've changed my mind in a couple of days. I now think it's going to be crazy, because someone's going to get Story. Someone I think is going to get Massa or Duran or Willie Abreu from the Red Sox, and the Red Sox are going to get another pitcher. I don't think the Red Sox are done. I really don't. I think it's actually the opposite. I think this is going to be a good thing for them.
I'll give you another thing here, and I'm going to ask you this question because I know you're going to know the answer to it. As far as the whole, Jordan Hicks right to the bullpen, Harrison right to AAA, Tibbs, and apparently the Red Sox corner the market on pitchers named Bello. Who's the pitching coach for the Boston Red Sox, Vegas Mac?
Some old giant guy, Andrew Bailey.
There's another good point right there, too. It is Andrew Bailey, and you got Ross's on fire today. But, I mean, there's another good point. And again, I do think that Harrison has the opportunity to be good over the long haul. And 4 years from now, when Kyle Harrison's pitching really good for the Red Sox, we could go, oh, shit, he was part of the Devers deal. But that's neither here nor there. The trade deadline, the significance on the trade deadline. Alcantara is the biggest name out there. There's going to be a lot of teams interested in him. I think the Blue Jays, as we start to talk about the wild card here just real quickly, on the American League side, the Blue Jays are a game and a half up in the second wild card spot ahead of the Boston Red Sox, who now hold the third wild card spot. The Blue Jays are an interesting team here because we would assume that they're not going to let Bo Bichette walk out the door and get absolutely nothing for him. The rumor is that the Braves would be the top suitor for him. What do the Braves have to give up? But the Blue Jays might not really be in a position to want to give up a damn thing, and they might have to play that game of Russian roulette, if you will, with Bo Bichette and let him walk out the door. Or if Vladimir Guerrero comes and says, you're paying him, and they go, yes, sir, because that's how it should be done in Toronto. But you've got Tampa and smoking freaking mirrors with the Rays somehow. First wild card spot. They're playing great baseball right now. 7-3 in their last 10. So Tampa, Toronto, Boston. That's the top of your AL wild card. But then when you go down the rest of this list,
that kind of funny though for a second, Mike? I was gonna say, isn't that kind of funny? We talked about like a couple weeks ago how we thought the American League East was kind of a dud, and now they have 4 teams in the playoffs right now.
Yeah, it is. It's amazing. After that, though, this is where it gets really interesting in the American League. So we go 4-8 here. Minnesota, Seattle, half game out of that wild card spot. Obviously, Boston and Seattle playing right now. And then Boston goes to San Francisco. Irony. Then you've got Texas and Cleveland, a game out in the wild card spot. And TJ's Angels are only 2.5 games out of a wild card spot. The Angels, another team that holy hell needs to find some pitching if they want to stay in that position. We know they can hit with everybody. But general makeup of the AL wild card, real quick, TJ. What do you see? Who's for real? Who's not? Give me a couple thoughts.
I think the Twins may be for real. I would not buy any of the AL West teams at this point. They can't get out of their own way. Seattle is the same garbage as ever. The only difference is big dumpers hitting home runs like they're going out of style. But those and Seattle has
over the fence.
Seattle has the pitching too, and they just can't get it together. And it's the same crap that we've seen the last year. It's just like the Angels, the same crap for the last 15 years is they can't get pitching. Well, the Mariners can't get any hitting. And now you got 2 guys in the lineup that can hit and nothing else. Your pitching's carrying you. I'm surprised that the Royals are where they are. I thought they'd be a little bit better at this point. So, that's my takeaway. But I'd sell every AL West team. I would sell at this point.
Yeah, well, there's one AL West team we hope sells, but that's a different story for a different day. Mac?
Yeah, I mean, I look at the wild card. And I'm like, Minnesota. We don't know about Pablo Lopez or Matthews. They're both on the IL. Royce Lewis is injured again. I just can't believe in the Twins.
Does today end in Y?
Yeah.
Okay.
Again, I'm going to use the Red Sox again. I mean, I think they're in Seattle these next couple of days. I'm starting to float around a couple of names. So I'm saying, listen, you guys need some offense. Abreu, Matza, for a pitcher. I don't know. I think Boston should come out of Seattle with a pitcher, is what I think. I mean, that would definitely kind of get the fan base back in. But I agree with TJ. None of these teams in the West, in the West or in the wild card, kind of, I look at it and I go, Minnesota, no. Seattle, no. Texas, they've started to. Marcus Semien and Garcia have started to hit a little bit. They've had better weeks. They could be the one, but we talked about it. After that, I mean, Cleveland, the Angels. I'm like, there's nothing there. I mean, I honestly think we could be looking at 4 teams from the American League East in the playoffs, because I don't think any of these other teams have the juice to get there.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm not buying the staying power of the Blue Jays here, and the Blue Jays have lost 3 in a row. There's a series that starts tonight for them against the Diamondbacks, another team that we'll hit here in just a second. I'm not buying the staying power there. I honestly think Texas, once their offense gets rolling, they're gonna vault to the top of that. They'd be the only team in the American League West I would buy off of this list. I think Toronto is going to hit the skids and they're going to make the moves. I just can't see them. The potential of watching Bo Bichette walk out the door for jack shit. It would be the dumbest damn move in a city where there's a lot of dumb moves in sports in Toronto. I just can't see them letting them walk out the door for absolutely nothing. The interesting thing here, guys, is we flip over the National League. You talk about, the third place wild card in the American League right now is 38 and 36. The third place wild card in the National League, which would be the Swinging Friars of San Diego, 39 and 32. The Giants are second at 41 and 31. And the Phillies, who have won 5 straight, 43 and 29. Then after that, we've got Milwaukee, Cincinnati, St. Louis, and Arizona. That's where I'm going to stop the list. Arizona, 3 games out of a wild card spot again in action tonight against the Blue Jays. This is going to be interesting. And again, I will say the same thing about the Giants that I said last week. Am I excited as a Giants fan that they got Rafi Devers? Of course. Why wouldn't I be? The Giants haven't had a 30 home run hitter since 2004. Devers is the best bat that they've had since, ironically, Buster Posey. There's a lot of reasons to be excited. Their bullpen is fantastic. But here's the thing with the Giants. Ask me again at the All-Star break if I think the Giants are for real, and here's why. Cleveland, then Boston, then Miami. They do have the White Sox in there, and the A's over 4th of July, but they also have Arizona, Philadelphia, and the Dodgers again. If this team is still in a position at the top of the wild card race, when we hit the All-Star break, I will then believe that maybe they are good enough. But we talk about prospects all the time and everything, and all the rage in San Francisco is, I saw it right away. The idiots that were like, well, that's a lot of money to take on. Well, we lost out on Judge, lost out on, I just said we, the thing I hate the most. There's a mouse in my damn pocket. Lost out on Harper, lost out on Judge, lost out on Stanton, lost out on Ohtani. You bitch and whine and complain in San Francisco that they don't spend any money. The critique of Farhan Zaidi is he wasn't capable of closing big moves like this. Buster Posey said, hold my beer. Here we go. I'll believe this Giants team is for real if they're still in a wild card position at the All-Star break. And all the rage, within the first 10 minutes on X, man, when you add Bryce Eldridge this year to this lineup, no, that's exactly what doesn't need to happen, especially now that they have Devers. Bryce Eldridge should stay in AAA. There is no reason to rush him. Look at Kaggs has struggled. I know Anthony got his first home run last night. Mac, there you go. There you won. Congratulations. But these guys are going to struggle. There's no reason to let Bryce Eldridge struggle at the major league level this season. I don't think Milwaukee's going to stick around in that just outside of the wild card spot. I think they're going to be sellers. Rhys Hoskins. Cincinnati, I don't know if I buy that team at all from a pitching standpoint. St. Louis, smoke and mirrors, don't believe in them one bit whatsoever. And Arizona, Mike Hazen has said that they are going to add to this team and made it sound like they're going to try and aggressively add to this team. Mac, the Diamondbacks at 3 games out, I know we all believe their offense is really, really good because it is. Can the Diamondbacks make a run here, especially if they're going to be aggressive?
Well, if aggressive is another term for I'm going to get some help in the bullpen, then yes. Because otherwise, seriously,
that's bad.
I have never seen an organization in my life I can say this, I've watched them my entire life. I was there when they were created. They have never figured out the bullpen. Never, ever. From BK Kim to whoever else, it just has never worked.
You just triggered half the valley.
I mean, that's one of the things. Yeah, I know. But that's the biggest thing. I mean, if they could have won half the games they had leads in so far this year, I mean, they probably have a 2 or 3 game lead in the wild card. Their bullpen is terrible, and I mean, I feel for Torey Lovullo. I mean, he keeps throwing people out there. So Matt Manti, oh my God, I loved Matt Manti. He was actually decent.
He was fun to watch.
He was actually decent.
But you got to give the Diamondbacks credit. Their bullpen has sucked for their entire existence. That's consistency. That's what you want out of pitching. Just not that consistency. TJ, who's a player
alignment.
who's not?
That's alignment. Maybe that's their alignment.
Yeah.
Goodness. But listen, I think Milwaukee's going to be there. I love the move. Listen, we didn't talk about, but Aaron Savali, the move that they made with him was absolutely freaking genius. Oh, we're going to send you to the bullpen. Really? Trade me. Okay. You can go play for the White Sox. Thank you. That was a good trade.
Yeah. Enjoy Chicago, Aaron. Oh, thanks a lot, guys. No. No, not that Chicago. TJ, before we get into best bets and dollar dingers, TJ, National League wild card players.
Oh, liquid locks, Mike. Come on.
I would buy the Brewers. I would buy the Diamondbacks if they can get some bullpen help, like Max said, because they can mash with anybody. But everybody else on that list for right now, I can't do anything with.
So you can see a scenario where we go into the playoffs and it's Philly, San Francisco, and San Diego.
I would not be surprised.
All right.
I would not be surprised.
So again, follow along. Those of you that are following along today, we appreciate it. Tag your friends, tell your friends, follow us at Mike Arana Show. Again, Mac will have the Stanley Cup preview video here in about an hour or so. So we debuted Liquid Locks because we retired Best Bets because our Liquid Locks are as solid as water. So when we did this on the 11th, the last time we were all together on the show, which was last Wednesday, we went 4 for 4. TJ had San Francisco and Colorado over 10.5. Mac went with Robbie Ray under 7.5 strikeouts. And I had the massive point combo two-legger of Joe and McConnell at 3 and 7. We went perfect. So there's a lot of pressure here on our Liquid Locks before Dollar Dingers. We'll do our Liquid Locks. And in customary fashion, Mac goes last because I need to brace myself for whatever the hell he's got up his sleeve today. I'm going to give you a 3-legger on my Liquid Lock. Baseball-wise, the New York Yankees, as I mentioned, can't seem to hit a damn baseball. Can't seem to score a run right now. The Angels can mash. I don't believe the Yankees offense is going to stay asleep for very long. So I'm going to take the Angels and the Yankees over 9. Baltimore and Tampa Bay at Steinbrenner Field, also over 9. And the Texas Rangers on the money line. I was able to find a booster for that one. So plus 562. So Yanks and Halos over 9. O's and Tampa over 9. Rangers on the money line. Yeah, I know that's a lot for a Liquid Lock, but I'm feeling confident today. TJ, your Liquid Lock for this evening.
Well, since it went so well last time, I'm going to do it again, except I'm going to go north of the border. And the Dalton Varsho Bowl winner gets to take him and put him on the disabled list again. I'm taking the Diamondbacks and Blue Jays over because these two pitchers they are great at throwing strikes. And those strikes go a long way the opposite direction. So I'm taking the over 8.5 tonight from the building formerly known as the Sky Dome.
All right. So that's 3 overs in 4 Liquid Locks. Vegas Mac, the stage is yours.
Today's Liquid Locks is sponsored by Charlie Blackman because, Liquid Locks are where it's at. Here we go. Very easy tonight. I'm just going to go on the ice because, as we know, Lord Stanley will be raised tonight. So I'm going to take the Rat, Brad Marchand, 2.5 shots on goal. And I'm going to play the under at 6.5. That is my Charlie Blackman Liquid Lock for today.
They may be trying to get him out of retirement since they're a minus 42 since he's left.
I love
the
Charlie
team.
Blackman.
He was great. I liked him too.
He was
Chuck
amazing.
Nasty. How could you not love Chuck Nasty? All right, time for some Dollar Dingers. I'm going to set this up for you. The top parks tonight, Rate Field, which is the home of the Chicago White Sox. Coors Field of California, Steinbrenner Park, and the Great American Bandbox. Those are the 4 best parks as far as weather goes tonight. Your top pitchers to drop a meatball down the center: Randy Vasquez, Zach Littell, Kyle Hendricks, and Seth Lugo, actually. So I'm going to start because every time you're trying to hit balls that have a lot of drag because we changed seams, that's something we'll talk about on Thursday. Some dipshit somewhere is starting a class action lawsuit for deceptive practices about changing the baseballs and why home runs haven't been hit this year. But anyways, you need good wood to put balls way out yonder. So I'm going to go with James Wood of the Washington Nationals tonight at a plus 390 because he gets Senzatella from the Rockies. Great weather, blowing out to left at Nationals Park. TJ, who is your pick for a Dollar Dinger tonight?
If you ask me that again, I'm going to hit you as hard as I can. I'm taking Jazz Chisholm against the gas can Kyle Hendricks.
The gas can Kyle Hendricks. That was hilarious. Jazz Chisholm never ceases to amaze me with some of the shit he does. All right, Vegas Mac. Your pick,
We're gonna
$4
go
dingers. Is tonight the night?
No. It's not this night. No, this night. No, that's not the night. We're gonna go down to Tampa. Hopefully, that's not gonna rain. But listen, Zach Littell, bless his heart, 14 games started this year, 86 innings pitched, 21 dingers, baby, 21. He's given up more dingers than the Savannah Bananas. I'm gonna go with Gunnar Henderson tonight. Gunnar, in his career, 467. He's got 2 home runs and 15 RBIs against him. This is going to happen. I'm telling you, this is going to happen. Boom.
All right. So James Wood, Gunnar Henderson, and Jazz Chisholm tonight. The computer tells me that is a plus 9,900 to get all 3 of them. Wood is 390. Hendo is 300. And Jazz Chisholm is a plus 400 tonight. So plus 9,900 is tonight the night we finally get it done. We will be back, same bat time, same bat channel tomorrow. Me and Mr. Florida Panther will be holding down the fort. TJ will be back with us, same bat time, same bat channel on Thursday. We will be talking about a Pacers Thunder game. We will be getting ready for Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Finals because the second guy to touch the cup tonight is the guy that puts it in the damn box. So for everybody behind the scenes, for Tony James, for Vegas Mac, I'm Mike. We'll talk to you.